Hello everyone, and let's talk about the PlayStation 5, and more specifically the PlayStation 5 launch lineup. So I've got a confirmed pre-order for my PS5. Haven't paid for it yet. I've got until the 31st of October to pay for it. And looking at the lackluster launch lineup for the PS5, I'm kind of scratching my head as to whether I want one or not. I mean, they say that you've got to pay until the 31st of October. Pre-order from Shop 2. Never even bothered confirming my pre-order until the second last day that I could, so surprised I got one. They've said that you've secured a pre-order for launch, which is good, I suppose, but you know, you've got until the 31st of October to pay for it. You pay for it any time, so I get paid in the middle of the month, so I'll just wait till then to pay for it. Definitely gonna pick one up though. Whether I'll keep it or whether I'll just scalp it on eBay and make a profit, and then just, you know, keep my RTX 3080, which I found out where I am in the queue for an RTX 3080. I did order the Asus Tough Gaming RTX 3080. Reviewed quite well. Apparently doesn't have the issue with the caps on the back of it, the capacitors that were having issues. But apparently that one's a good one. So I bought it before those kind of things came out about the 3080. So hopefully we get a good one. But I've seen the reviews for it and it seemed pretty good and it's pretty reasonably priced. I don't really care about getting a high frequency one or like a high end 3080 because I'm playing at 1440p. So, you know, quite happy to buy a sort of cheaper one, although apparently the Asus Tough Gaming one is a decent card from what I hear and from what I've seen with reviews. But anyway, back to the PS5. So, yeah, the launch lineup is just lackluster. The star of the show is Demon's Souls. 70 quid though, 69.99 in the UK. Expensive for a remaster, I think. We've seen some footage of Demon's Souls running. It was running at 1440p and 60 FPS, or apparently there's a 4K 30 FPS mode. And a lot of people were disappointed with that. A lot of people found they were disappointed it didn't do 4K 60. I think 4K 60 is still a bit, I mean, it's still beyond most GPUs. I think, again, next gen is not really native resolution. I don't think it's going to matter, especially when you get things like ray tracing. If you want ray tracing features, you're not going to get 4K with ray tracing. I don't think the PS5 or the Series X is going to be able to do that. I think what you're going to get is what you see on PC a lot of the time. We're going to get AI upscaling. That's going to be the future. The PlayStation 5, Sony haven't said exactly what they're using for AI upscaling. Microsoft have revealed they're using their own version of DirectX. It's going to be called DirectML, which is going to be built into the DirectX 12 Ultimate suite, which is going to run across PC and Xbox. It's going to run on Series S and Series X, just, I guess, be different resolutions. And again, it works fairly similar to NVIDIA's DLSS, the Deep Learning Super Sampling. What it does is it renders the game at a lower resolution and uses sort of AI to fill in the blanks. So the AI scales it up to a 4K image, but it renders it at, say, 1440p. So I think you're going to see that. You're not really going to see native 4K with ray tracing, especially when ray tracing is a performance killer when you enable it in any game. Most games, you cut your frame rate in half when you enable ray tracing. Even the 3080, even that running ray traced games, a lot of the demos you've seen of it running ray traced, or videos that you've seen running ray tracing at 60 FPS, it's not native 4K, it's 4K with DLSS enabled. And that really gets you to native resolution at 60, it'll get you, well, sub-native resolution. Native resolution will be maybe 1440p or 1800p, and again the AI will be scaling it up to 4K. So I think you're going to see that more with next gen, and I think that's going to be the key. Things like AI upscaling. Sony haven't said what they're going to use for AI upscaling, but that's going to be the future of next gen games. I'm looking at Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is effectively an expansion pack. 51.99. I mean, that's kind of crazy. I think that's kind of crazy. The only other game, I mean, Demon Souls. I'll get Demon Souls. Godfall looks kind of interesting. It looks kind of like, it says it's like a slasher shooter. It's the one of a kind slasher melee shooter. One of a kind, really? Not really. You know, Diablo's kind of been around. That's a kind of slasher melee thing. Okay, it's a different camera perspective, but you know, and Dark Souls as well is a kind of slasher melee looter game, isn't it? It's got loot in it, Dark Souls. I mean, it's so Godfall looks interesting. I guess they're saying it's like it's being published by Gearbox Software, not developed by Gearbox Software. So it's going to be like Borderlands with melee kind of thing, I guess. So you know, it looks interesting. Again, $69.99 for that. That's going to be the price of PS5 games going forward. But other than that, there's nothing really great. Sackboy, A Big Adventure. You know, why bother buying that at launch? It's going to be on PlayStation Plus. So why bother? I don't see the point in that. But yeah, there's not a lot really great. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, which has too many names. Just call it Call of Duty Cold War. Why not? Why put the Black Ops name in there? I mean, you've already got Call of Duty in there. Why bother? 70 quid for a Call of Duty game. Are you kidding me? A game that'll be out again this time next year. They'll have another one out. Not paying that. No way. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is a bit cheaper at $51.99. I'm just looking at game.co.uk for these prices. But it's crazy to think next gen prices. If you want Spider-Man Miles Morales Ultimate Edition, which includes Marvel Spider-Man Remastered, it's going to be 70 quid for a game plus an expansion. For a remastered game plus an expansion, that's just crazy money. I mean, you can see why a lot of people are just sticking with the PC. And that might be a thing that you do. You might just sell it, because that's the thing that's really putting me off is, yeah, people saying PC gaming is expensive, but I mean, £500 for the PS5. I pre-ordered the disc one, the one with the disc drive, rather than the digital one, the digital only one. You save yourself £50, but I think it's cheap. I think it'd be cheaper in the long run because you can buy things like pre-owned games for it and save a bit of money for it there with the disc-based version. But yeah, I think that, yeah, £500 for the disc version. By the time you buy games for that, you know, 3080 was, my 3080 was 709 quid. Still don't have it. I paid for it. I mean, all I can do is stare at a gaping big hole in my bank account where 719 quid used to be. That's all I can really do now. So yeah, I'm on the list for it, but I'm positioned 1,519th, or at least I was a few days ago. So yeah, I ain't getting that this year. So you're never gonna get that. I pre-ordered it with overclockers, because they were still taking pre-orders. So they sent me, this is where you are in the queue, and they're like, oh great. You know, I did pre-order one of the most popular ones. Didn't get the cheapest one there, but I did get the tough gaming because, you know, I've had Asus cards in the past. My 1070 was the Strix OC 1070. Didn't buy the OC version of the tough gaming, just went for the regular ones. Again, I'm playing at 1440p. I don't need a high clock speed, and I don't need, you know, a high-end version. We got a kind of high-end 2070 Super. I've got the MSI Gaming X Trio, which, you know, is a good card. I like MSI cards, and I like Asus cards, because I've had a few of them in the past, and I've never had any issues with them. This is the most expensive GPU I've ever bought, though, and I'm looking forward to getting that. There's been a discussion more about PC than PS5, but yeah, I'm not going to pay $69.99 for a PC game. I wonder if Godfall's coming to PC. I don't know, it doesn't say PlayStation 5 exclusive. It probably will come to PC, I would imagine. See how that plays on PC. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Demon Souls is going to come to PC though at some point. It did say it on the trailer. It said also coming to PC, so that might be an interesting pickup on the PC. I like Demon Souls. I played the original on the PS3 back in 2008, and I thought it was pretty decent. It was the first Souls game, because Demon Souls was a PlayStation 3 exclusive game, and I guess From Software wanted to make you know, wanted to make a multi-platform game, so they just made Dark Souls, which was the sort of, wasn't a direct sequel, I guess. It was more of a sort of spiritual follow-up. Same form, same sort of format. Dark Souls. Dark Souls, one of the best games of the last generation, I felt. So Demon Souls, I'm looking forward to. I really want to play that. The SSD, the mighty SSD. If you listen to PlayStation fanboys, this SSD will cure coronavirus and it will end racism in the world. I mean, never mind painting a slogan on like a Formula 1 car or painting the Mercedes black. That gonna do nothing for racism. But the PS5's SSD, that will end racism, apparently, in the world. It'll cure everything, don't worry. It'll do your grocery shopping for you. I mean, it's just an SSD at the end of the day. You know, it's not gonna make games run any better. I don't think. Certainly load faster. You're gonna get that. You're gonna get faster loading. The console will boot faster. Yay! That's the biggest benefit to an SSD. I can boot the PC from sort of cold boot into Windows in 10 seconds with an NVMe SSD. So that's the good thing about the PS5 and the Series S and Series X. The Series X, let's just go with Series X instead of saying Series SX. We're just one letter out. Let's call it I call it the sexy Xy. Hit the microphone there with my hand when I mentioned the sexy Xy. So yeah, that's what I'm calling it. But yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to see which one sells better, because I didn't even bother pre-ordering an Xbox console. I don't see the point. I mean, I've got Game Pass. I think that's the biggest selling point of the Xbox brand, the sexy Xy, is the Game Pass. And again, it's available on PC. I think Microsoft are going down the route of services again this generation. It kind of cost them quite a lot last gen. If you think about it, how the Xbox One was revealed, it was revealed as like the ultimate entertainment box that was kind of useless at everything because the user experience was terrible. That's my biggest criticism with Xbox, is the whole user experience. I mean, the Xbox One X, I have one of them, and it's my least played console. The PlayStation 4 I use it for like Netflix and things like that because its UI is alright. The boot time is okay. It's not too bad on the PlayStation 4. So PlayStation 5, it's going to be a big benefit of the SSD is booting it up. It should boot up, you know, within a few seconds. I'm expecting it to boot up. You know, PCs, every PC I've had since 2012 has had an SSD. So SSD is nothing new, really. You know, every single PC, and it is a massive benefit. You always have it as a boot drive. The SSD. Be interesting to see PC ports going forward to see whether they have the SSD as like the minimum requirement or it's just like a recommended requirement. That'll be interesting in the next gen to see if games are going to be optimized to run off an SSD. I mean, I have about a terabyte of solid state storage. I've got a 500 gig NVMe drive and a 500 gig SATA SSD. So I think that's one of the things I'm going to have to do is up the SSD capacity. Then I've got 5 terabytes of mechanical drives, one 2 terabyte, one 3 terabyte. That's my PC sort of storage setup. So you're only going to get 600 gigabytes of usable space on the PlayStation 5, and that is a concern. It is a bit concerning because I imagine these next gen games, although apparently with the SSD, the file sizes shouldn't be as big as feared, because what you can do with this really fast SSD is they can compress files a bit more, because the SSD's decompression is a lot faster under using the SSD, so file sizes can be a bit smaller there, and they're going to have to do that, because what is the solution for expansion when it comes to SSD? You know, does it have like, hopefully it's got like something like a Thunderbolt port or something like that. Something faster than like USB Type C maybe. Getting a USB Type C, because USB 3.1 or USB 3.0 it's going to be kind of slower than these NVMe hard drives. Could be a problem, so we need something like Thunderbolt or USB Type C. They're fairly fast connections. I think Thunderbolt is just an Apple technology, although USB-C can use Thunderbolt as well. So hopefully we get something like that. Xbox already has like it looks like a memory card for the Series X, and it's like just another hard drive that plugs into like a proprietary slot. So I'm guessing that's going to be quite a fast, for a high-speed port that it's plugging into there to enable the sort of high bandwidth that we're going to need. Because I think the bandwidth for these SSDs is going to go beyond what USB is capable of. Certainly way beyond what SATA is capable of. When you see PlayStation 4 uses a SATA hard drive, you could put an SSD in your PS4 or your PS3 for that matter. Nothing to stop you doing that. So one of the things I always get about PlayStation fanboys banging on about SSDs, the question I always ask them is, did you put an SSD in your PS4? And a lot of them answer, no, didn't know you could do that. It's like, yeah, you could have put an SSD in your PS4. You could have bought a 500 gig SSD. I mean, it would have been quite expensive around the launch of the PS4 for a SSD of that size. But you could have bought one, slotted it in, and yeah, you would have, sorted out a lot of the boot time issues and loading time issues. It does make quite a big difference to a PS4. There have been tests done to show that it does make a massive difference there to load times and to the boot time. But that's the biggest benefit of the SSD. Load times are going to be good. You're going to be able to switch between games a lot faster. Which again, it can only be a benefit to the system, but in terms of performance, it's going to be kind of negligible. The hard drive, the storage drive doesn't really have a huge impact on performance. The only real games where it really has an impact, Star Citizen, apparently that's really intensive on the PC, and if you look at Jedi Fallen Order, that had a big impact because there was no loading screens in the world, so everything loaded in. So you wanted that on a fast drive. You saw it with the Xbox, the original Xbox One, and the launch model PS4 with older hard drives. The health of the hard drive really mattered. You would get the game would freeze for a few seconds while it loaded in new data. It does drop on the PC. You'll get like a couple of frames drop. I've got it installed on an NVMe SSD, and you maybe get a slight blip in the frame rate, but it only lasts like a second or two, and that's it loaded in the new data that it has to load in there. So again, that is, I think, one of the few games that really does tax your storage drive. But even then, it doesn't really affect the game's performance once it's loaded. It's just a little blip on the performance. You see it, like the frame rate will dip to 55 FPS for a few seconds and then go right back up to 60 in Fallen Order. So it's not too bad a performance. So you're not really going to notice that. Developers probably will start taking advantage of that. You saw that with Ratchet and Clank, where it went to new worlds fairly fast. So that's going to perhaps be a benefit, but a performance benefit is not going to make 4K 60 with ray tracing possible. It's not going to do that. It's not going to have that dramatic effect. It's not, because ray tracing is heavily GPU bound. It's not storage bound in any way, ray tracing, or CPU bound for that matter. But anyway, we went on long enough. So the PlayStation 5, do you think it's worth getting or not? I'm still on the fence about it. I'm going to buy it, definitely going to buy it. Whether or not I scalp it on eBay, it depends on how much overtime I can get in. Getting in overtime, getting double time for it now, because people are getting panicky. It's winter time. Our company gets all panicky in winter, so that's good because we're a utility company and we sell like energy and stuff like that. So we get kind of busy in the winter, so I get overtime, nice bit of double time, easy money basically. That's what I'm going to use to pay for it, or I could just sell it on eBay for a massive profit and keep the money. So definitely I'll probably check it out, the PS5, and then decide whether I'm going to sell it or not. But anyway, that is all for this video. So thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon, and goodbye.